Hey hello, today I would like to share story of my marital life. I'm 44 years old man, and my wife Regina is nearly 40 years old woman. We've been married for 4 years. Regina was my co-worker at a private bank when we first met. She is a tall, thin woman who I found appealing, but because she was having an affair with our boss at the time and I was in a friend zone. She used to tell me stories about her affairs with various guys and used to seek my opinion on relationship issues. I was her best friend who knew all her secrets. I was aware that she wasn't serious with our boss but was having an affair with him in order to keep her job because she didn't like doing any work at office. She spent the entire day at work watching YouTube videos, reality shows, or doing her makeup, and no one could say anything to her because she was in a relationship with the boss. She would always arrive at work late, and everyone at the workplace despised her for her entitled behavior. I was her only friend there. One day, Regina had been in our boss's room for 2 hours when they both suddenly shouted at each other. They had a huge quarrel, and Regina left the office hurriedly. They had broken up since our boss had seen her with another man. Regina never returned to the workplace again, but she contacted me 2 days later and invited me to some cafe. When I arrived, Regina was seated and drinking coffee. She was wearing a blue top with white pants and looked stunning. As we talked, Regina began to cry since she had lost her job and she told me she didn't have any friends other than me. I was already obsessed with her, and when I realized she needed me, I did everything I could to support her both emotionally and financially, because she didn't have the skills or a reference to get a new job right away. And her other boyfriends weren't serious with her either. During that time, we became very close, and I confessed my feelings to her. She suggested we move in together, which we did. And we were quite happy. Regina also advised me to buy a big house before getting married. I was fed up of paying high rents, so I took out a mortgage and bought a house. My mother wanted me to marry because my cousins who were my age were getting married, so I proposed to Regina and we married in an intimate event. I didn't invite colleagues to the wedding because we didn't want them to know I married Regina because of her reputation. We married, and life felt like a dream because Regina was not only gorgeous, but she was also extremely caring and sweet to me. She told me that I was the only one who supported her during a difficult time, and so she fell in love with me. When Regina and I first got married, she didn't have a job. She took care of all the household duties, cooked delicious meals for me, did my laundry, and invited my mother over for lunch every other month. My mother was overjoyed with her. And because I am the only child, my mother's pleasure meant a lot to me. Then a few months later, Regina was hired as a project trainee at some company. It was her first job after being fired from her bank job due to a breakup with our boss. She was thrilled and used my credit cards to buy new work clothes and makeup. She told me she needed to make an impression. I told her only her work could make an impression. She agreed with me. However, 1 month into her new job, she was experiencing problems with her manager and co-workers because they expected her to arrive on time and perform the tasks assigned to her. But Regina would take so much time getting ready and she would often miss deadlines of projects. She lost her job again in less than 2 months due to her careless attitude. And she was once more depressed at home. My mother was quite supportive of her, so she urged her friend to recommend Regina somewhere for a job, and she got an offer to work at an e-commerce firm. Regina's attitude didn't change, but she was lucky this time, and the company was very lenient. On the other hand, I was having success as an investor as well. I had left my bank position and was investing in several firms. We had moved to a bigger house. Regina could buy things she couldn't afford with her salary. And we were living a lavish life despite Regina's job uncertainty. Regina would flaunt my money in front of her friends and relatives, which I didn't approve of. But Regina had stopped seeing her old friends and relatives because they weren't up to our standards anymore. My business colleague Daryl had a habit of throwing extravagant parties, which Regina enjoyed attending. One day, Daryl asked us to a beach party, to which Regina dressed a maroon silk dress and applied dark makeup. I told her that her makeup wasn't appropriate for a beach trip. But she insisted that now that we're wealthy, we need make ourselves look extra glamorous. At Daryl's beach party we ate, danced, and sang together. And while I was busy making barbecue with Daryl's wife and other guests, Regina continued to dance with Daryl. She kept moving her feet on the floor to the rhythm of the music. Daryl's wife Addie urged me to join Regina for the dance, and when I joined Daryl and Regina on the dance floor, Regina began mocking my dancing abilities and claiming she didn't want to dance with me because she wanted to dance with someone who knew how to dance like Daryl. I brushed off it as a joke and laughed, but I felt humiliated and went back to the barbecue stand, while Regina continued to dance and laugh with Daryl and my other friends. I felt left out but didn't show it because Daryl's wife was with me and kept me company, so I couldn't express my feelings there. But when we got home from the beach party and I told Regina how hurt I was when she made fun of my dancing, she pretended as if nothing happened. She acted so nicely and said she was simply trying to spare me from embarrassment since otherwise everyone would mock my dancing, so that's why she stopped me from dancing. I told her I didn't like her frankness with Daryl. To which she started shouting at me saying my mindset was so middle class and that she needed to form professional relationships with rich people in order to raise our standards and how she was open-minded while I was with Daryl's wife, despite the fact that we were simply making barbecue and not being frank with each other. I yelled back and told her she was being unreasonable. When I yelled back, she burst into tears and stated she left her past life for me, she left all of her boyfriends for me, and she claimed she devoted her life to our marriage. She was crying badly and I felt awful for accusing her since I had a soft spot for her and she knew it was difficult for me to see anyone sobbing, so I apologized to her and made her breakfast. It was Regina's birthday a few days later, and Regina insisted on inviting only my business partners, when I advised her to invite her co-workers and old friends. She announced that she wanted to leave her job and that she couldn't work on a salary anymore, and how she was so superior for such a small job. I felt offended by her remarks but didn't say anything because it was her birthday. She stated she didn't want to invite her old friends because they couldn't afford to give her designer bags and expensive jewelry as a birthday gift on her birthday. She made all of the arrangements herself and wore an expensive Chanel gown purchased with my credit card, and she had ordered food from 10 different restaurants. She was wasting money like she originated from a royal family. I didn't object, but I would rather spend that money on travel than on a birthday celebration, but, obviously, you couldn't go against someone's desires on their birthday. So I was helping her in making all of the arrangements. We were all gathered in our TV lounge after the birthday dinner. And Daryl and I were talking about the stock exchange and politics, and Regina interrupted us by announcing that as a birthday present, she wanted to make a little investment in Daryl's firm,
which would allow her to permanently leave her job. I thought she was joking because she hadn't discussed it with me before. But she was dead serious and waiting for Daryl's response, which he clearly had to say yes because he was my best friend, and Regina had been making friendly connections with him and his wife. I could see Daryl's wife Addie didn't like this demand from Regina, but she didn't say anything as she was kind and polite woman. After the birthday party, I told Regina that she should have consulted with me before seeking these requests from my work friend, and she simply stated that she hadn't realized it was such a big deal. A few days later, Regina resigned from her job and sold all of her jewelry and savings to invest in Daryl's business because she stated she didn't want to work with salary class people any longer. I didn't offer my advice because she didn't ask for it, and I was so busy with my own work schedule that I didn't have time for her reckless career path. Regina expanded her social network among wealthy people since that she had left her job. She would attend various parties or events every day, but she made it a point to have dinner with me every day, telling me she couldn't compromise on our time together and how valuable it was for her to spend time with me. Every day we would eat dinner together and Regina would talk to me for hours about her day, TV shows, different events. I was content once again because no matter how much time she spent socializing, she never neglected me or our marriage. After a couple days, it was a Thursday night, and when I got home from work, I was startled to see Regina not at home. I assumed she would return soon, so I began watching television. She typically returned from her events about 8 p.m., but it was a Thursday night, and Regina had not returned till midnight. I phoned her but she didn't answer. I was frightened and considered calling the cops but decided against it because Regina wouldn't have liked contacting the cops and I also didn't want to have any negative press. Regina returned after 1 a.m. She was too sleepy or not sober and went straight to bed. She didn't tell me where she was or why she returned after midnight or whether she was okay or not, but her phone was constantly ringing, so I decided to check her phone. Normally she keeps her phone with her, but because she was too sleepy she left it on a sofa. When I picked up her phone I was shocked to see Daryl's messages on her phone. It turned out she was with Daryl, and the text from Daryl said that he enjoyed his time with Regina. I scrolled through the messages and was horrified to see that Regina was constantly in contact with Daryl and that she thought he would make a better choice than me. She had been sharing multiple pictures with Daryl. I was angry and felt betrayed, but I took screenshots of those texts and sent them to my phone because I needed proofs that texts had revealed to me Regina was neither devoted to me nor to Daryl. She was only interested in money and luxury. I left Regina in our bedroom and walked downstairs to call Daryl. I wanted to punch Daryl. I knew I could destroy his business as I was the main investor of his business and even the other investors were investing in his business because of me. I knew those screenshots would ruin his marriage and Daryl had 2 kids and he was very committed to his family. When Daryl took up the call, I began yelling at him. Daryl calmed me down and told me to meet him. When I met Daryl, he told me how Regina had initiated conversations with him and how she badly wanted to meet him because she believed Daryl would give her a double revenue on her investment. Daryl made me listen to her call recording in which Regina was telling him how she would choose him if he gave her more profit, and I was astonished. I knew Daryl wasn't fully innocent in this situation, but it was true that he tried to ignore Regina many times. He had refused to meet her without me, but Regina continued to flirt with her. I was furious, but Daryl and I formed a plan to destroy Regina. I encouraged Daryl to declare in front of everyone that he had lost money in his business and that now every investor must bear loss. And Regina couldn't do anything because there was no legal documentation of her investment. I didn't talk to Regina for 2 days and appeared to be busy with work. Regina had no idea I was aware of her activities until Sunday, when I invited all my friends to a dinner, and that's where Daryl declared the loss in his firm. Regina was shocked since she had invested all of her funds in it. She asked me what the next step would be, and I told her that loss and profit are both part of investment. And it's not a big deal, but it was obviously not okay for Regina because she had no job or money and was hoping to rely on my wealth. After the dinner, when everyone had departed, I asked Regina to leave my house and how I knew about her affair with Daryl. Regina was so shocked that she fell to the floor. It was the second awful news of the day for her, but I had no empathy to show her. I had given her my love, support, and trust, and she had deceived me. She was simply greedy for money. Update. My divorce case is currently in court. I have provided evidence of Regina's betrayal, and my attorney is telling me that I would not be required to pay alimony money. I am relieved by this development and eagerly awaiting the conclusion of this case. Regina has been pleading with me for forgiveness because she was accustomed to a lavish lifestyle, but now she's going back to her old situation with little money and no employment. She claimed that she was being greedy but that she wasn't unfaithful, but I don't want to be misled by her again. Daryl has apologized to me. And I have forgiven him because he assisted me in exacting revenge against Regina, but our friendship has changed. Our friendship isn't what it used to be. We are now more of a business partner. Regina keeps contacting my mom for money. My mom has helped her in paying her rent one time, but even my mom doesn't want to keep any contact with her anymore. One of my old friends thought Regina deserved a second chance as well. but to be honest, it's not in my heart to forgive her. When you become enslaved by money, you don't value any relationship or friendship, and that's exactly what Regina did when we became financially secure. She cut ties with her old friends and then deceived me. How could I trust someone like her again when everything in her life revolves around money? I'm pleased that the universe revealed her true colors to me before having kids. I'm a positive person, which is why I believe in karma. I believe in treating people nicely regardless of economic status, but Regina had lost sight of her roots. She used to judge others based on their financial situation. Now she has no money and source of income and no one is there to help her. What would you do if you were in my position? Do you think I should give Regina another chance? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. Many thanks for your time. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories.